The cell door slams behind you. Your crime, you owe 40 pounds. And here's the part nobody explains. You stay in this prison until you pay it back. But you can't work in prison, so you can't earn, so you can't pay, so you stay. Men have died in this building owing less than what you'd spend on lunch today. How did we get here? To answer that, you need to live 4,000 years in debt. And I promise you, the ending is not what you think. You're a farmer outside Babylon. The flood came late this year, your barley failed, and your family needs to eat. So you walk to the temple and borrow grain. The interest rate? 33%. Standard. But you have nothing to pledge as collateral. Nothing except yourself. And your children. If you can't repay, your son goes to the lender's household as a servant. This isn't a metaphor. Debt bondage is written directly into the law, the Code of Hammurabi, carved in stone. But that same stone contains something we abandoned. Hammurabi caps debt slavery at 3 years. Year 4, your son walks free, no matter what you still owe. And periodically, the king does something almost unthinkable. He declares a clean slate. Every personal debt in the kingdom erased overnight. They called it restoring justice in the land. Remember that. It's the last time anyone offers it to you. Status: your children are collateral, but your debt has an expiration date. 15 centuries later, you're a Roman farmer, and you've just discovered debt without an expiration date. You borrowed to replant after a war trampled your fields. The contract you signed is called a nexium, and you didn't pledge your farm. You pledged your body. Missed the payment, and your lender doesn't take your property. He takes you. Chained in his workshop, legally his. And unlike Babylon, no king is coming to wipe the slate. This actually happened at scale. So many Roman citizens ended up in chains to other Roman citizens that the poor did the only thing they had left. They went on strike. They walked out of the city and refused to serve in the army until the law changed. And it worked. In 326 BC, Rome abolished debt bondage. From that day forward, your debt could take everything you own, but not your body. You just won your first victory in 4,000 years. Enjoy it. Because the next system doesn't come for your body. It comes for your soul. You're a peasant farmer in England, and you need to borrow money for seed. There's just one problem. Lending money at interest is now a mortal sin. The church calls it usury, and usurers are refused Christian burial. Did that stop lending? Of course not. It just pushed it into the shadows. Legal gray zones, disguised fees, lenders operating outside the protection of the law, charging more because the risk of lending to you is now enormous. So you borrow at rates that would make a Babylonian temple blush. And your debt follows you somewhere no Roman chain ever reached, into the afterlife. Die owing money, and your soul is considered unclean until your family pays it off. Your children don't just inherit your farm, they inherit your sin. Status: your body is free, your soul is mortgaged. Which brings us back to your prison cell. By the 1800s, debt is no longer sin, it's crime. In England and America, tens of thousands of people sit in debtors' prisons. And the math is exactly as insane as it sounds. Imprisoned until you pay, unable to earn while imprisoned. Some familiar names pass through these walls. Charles Dickens's father is locked in Marshalsea prison over a debt to a baker. Dickens is 12, and he's pulled out of school to work in a factory. He never forgets it. Robert Morris, the man who personally financed the American Revolution, dies broke after 3 years in a Philadelphia debtor's prison. The financier of American independence, jailed for debt in the country he funded. It takes until the 1830s for the United States to abolish federal debtors' prisons, and decades more for the states to follow. 4,000 years in, you've finally established something radical. Owing money is not a crime. Your next problem is different. What happens when you owe money and the entire economy collapses at the same time? You're a farmer in Iowa. You did everything right. You borrowed in the good years to buy land because land prices only went up, and everyone said borrowing was smart. Then the Depression hits. Crop prices fall by half. But here's the trap nobody warned you about. Your debt doesn't fall with them. The mortgage payment is the same number it always was. You just need twice as much corn to make it. At its worst, a quarter of the country is out of work, and farms are foreclosed by the thousands. Your neighbors show up at the auctions with a strategy. They bid pennies on your equipment, dare anyone to bid higher, and hand it all back to you. Penny auctions, communities defending each other from the banks. You keep your farm, barely, and you swear you'll never borrow again. Your children will not keep that promise. In fact, they're about to be told that borrowing is the entire point. This is the strangest thing that happens to you in 4,000 years. Debt becomes aspirational. 1958. The first modern credit card is mailed, unsolicited, to 60,000 households in Fresno, California. People who never asked for credit open their mailbox and find it waiting. The 30-year mortgage becomes the definition of the American dream. There's suddenly such a thing as good debt. A wallet full of credit cards stops being shameful and starts being a status symbol. In one lifetime, your grandfather feared the bank, and you're being congratulated for qualifying. No prison, no chains, no sin. Just a pre-approved offer and a signature. Status for the first time in history, they want you in debt. Which brings us to you, right now. The average American carries about $105,000 in debt. Student loans, a mortgage, an auto loan, a credit card balance around $6,700. All American households together. $18.8 trillion, the highest ever recorded. Nobody's coming to chain you. Nobody's calling it a sin. There's no cell waiting. By every historical measure, you have won. So why does it follow you everywhere? The interest compounds while you sleep. The balance outlives the thing you bought. Missed payments and a 3-digit score quietly decides where you can live and what you can drive for 7 years. The Babylonian farmer's son walked free in year 3 no matter what was owed. The average student loan takes about 20 years to repay. So here's the question this whole journey leaves you with. 4,000 years ago, a king could erase every debt in the kingdom with one decree, and civilization didn't collapse. It happened again and again. We built a world where debt can't take your body, your freedom, or your soul. But we also built the only era where it never, ever expires. Would you trade? Nothing in this video is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, and everyone's situation is different. This is history, and the numbers are in the description. If this changed how you think about what you owe, the next video goes deeper. See you there.